Hello, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Julie.
So now we're going to do a review of Clever Cubed, which is the third in the series, starting with That's Very Clever, that's the German edition, and Twice as Clever. So hopefully you've had a chance to check out our How to Play and Playthrough video. So let's give a little bit of context if you've not played this game before. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be rolling, you'll see this is the game that we played. You're rolling 6 dice. And if you're the active player, you're going to be picking dice each round. And then depending on the color, you're going to be using them in the yellow, teal, purple, brown, and pink fields. And you're going to be crossing off numbers as you use them to get bonuses. And you're going to score points based on how many numbers you use. Like for instance, this is worth its value down here. This is worth 17 because we got all the way to the left, that many spaces. Or how many X's you fill in a row, you get that many points. So for instance, this one here, 2 X's in this row is worth 6 points, but this one, 4 were crossed out, so this is worth 20. And so you're just basically competing to get the most points. And you can see here that Julie was close with 161, and I had 175. And so again, it's a dice game. You'll be using usually 3 dice over 3 rounds. 2 players, you'll play 6 rounds. 3 players, 5 rounds. 4 players, you'll be playing 4 rounds. And the dice that the active player doesn't use, the passive players get to use 1 die, and then all 6 dice pass to the next player, and they're rolled. All right, so that's just a quick overview. It's a roll and write dice allocation game.
Yep.
All right, so
I get to talk about what my thoughts are.
correct. I have to have the clicker on here.
Yes, you do.
Well,
And you get to do your thoughts.
Okay.
Okay, here we go, guys. Well, if you guys have seen my reviews and watched these games we've played, you know that I'm a huge dice fanatic. And these have dice, and they are really pretty colors.
Yep.
And the score pad has really pretty colors. Those are my 2 positives. Unfortunately, the rest are negatives. I didn't find this as much fun as the other Clever games. It was extremely confusing, overwhelming, and so frustrating. The first time, and actually the second time even, David and I played it, it's just very confusing on how you do things with the new scoring and everything. And if it wasn't for his patience and showing me again and again, this is what we do, I think, got the hang of it this third time we played it. But I still found it to be very frustrating and just not as much fun as the other ones. It's not a bad game, it's just too frustrating for me. I'm not joking. Many of you do or don't know, but I do have a brain disability, and my brain is literally throbbing right now. It hurts so much. And
Well, not like the other games. It definitely frustrates you more than the other.
It definitely
two.
does.
And by the way, it took the third game in order for us to play the purple field right. And as I was teaching it, which is funny, we're like, oh, I think we're playing that wrong. And so it's funny. I'll start teaching it on how to play, and I'll figure out.
Now, wait a second here.
This is how you're supposed to play it. But see, that's a good thing that when you see the how to play videos, that sometimes I'll figure out something that we weren't doing right when I start teaching it, which is kind of interesting.
And which is helpful for you guys. So if you do watch the how to play, you'll be like, oh gosh, okay, this is what David was talking about. And you'll know what to do the right way. So you guys play it correctly the first time out.
So I did teach it correctly. But when I do something like that, that just shows you that if I make that what's called a miscue, which is a term for an unexpected result in reading, it's likely that other people will do the same thing.
Definitely.
So let's take a look at what I have to say about it.
Okay, I'm anxious to see what you have to say.
So you weren't that much of a fan with all those negatives.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, guess what? I have a lot of negatives too.
Oh my gosh, you have more than I do.
So remember, we don't know what each other's going to say.
I had no idea.
And so Julie's seeing my review for the first time. So hey, you don't hear me say this too often, because I usually have criticism of rule books. The rule book is improved compared to the other 2 editions. So let me show you real quick what I mean by that. So they have examples now for just about every action. It's a little bit longer, but you definitely need the examples. So I have to give them kudos for that. However, there is one negative.
Oh no.
You see here? What can't you see? Look at that. The headings.
Oh, the purple, yeah.
And so Look, they have what they did right is they have high contrast with a black background by using white text. But look what happened, because when you use this type of paper, it bleeds. It soaks up the ink.
Sure.
Okay, and if you didn't have, so that's why it's hard to read. So they should have really did a white background with black text instead, and you wouldn't have that issue. Other than that, the rule book is the best rule book they've done in the series.
That's
now
great.
it is longer, but there's also more things going on that you definitely needed examples for every.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny, we played this, and it was when I was really tired.
Yes.
And this is how I was a couple times.
You was. I looked up. And I'm like, whoa.
And it's not the rule book was bad. It's just
You
that
were
I was really
tired.
tired, and if those examples weren't there,
I know.
with how fatigued I was, I would have made.
Well, you'd worked a
lot
long
of
day at
mistakes.
work too,
Yeah.
so.
So anyway, hey, that's my positive. Much better
Yay.
rule book. But here's starting with the neutral here. More challenging mathematically. So if you love the series, this is a must-have. For gifted and talented students, if I had a math club or to help, I would have this in my series for students. Okay, because we'd play them all and we'd talk about it, and it's definitely, I would use this with gifted and talented.
Okay.
Since we already own it, we will keep it, okay? But if you're thinking which of the three to get, let's take a look on here. If you had to choose, if you're on a budget or you don't want to own them all, pick one of the two, okay, of the original. Now, this is the... I'm being like you when you look at the camera.
I know.
It's opposite.
Now see
So-
how I feel?
Yeah. This should say that's very clever. Okay. Some people like the second one better than the first one, but either one, you won't go wrong with either one.
I like them both.
Okay. But if you were like saying, I don't want to own all three, which one, mathematically they're all good. This one is, like I said, more challenging mathematically. Maybe that's what you want. But you'll see in the rest of the review, there's a cost of that. You feel more constrained, leading to frustration. It's kind of like, well, I rolled this, even with the bonuses, I guess I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So that leads to more obvious choices,
Yep.
less flexibility. So you feel like the game is playing you
That's a good point. Yeah.
instead of you playing the game. Whereas in the original two, you have more flexibility. You feel like, hey, I'm making progress. Whereas this is like, well, I didn't roll what I wanted, so now I guess I'm going to have to do this, and there's nothing I can do about it. So it's less fun.
Yeah.
So even less player interaction, which is almost zero in the other games,
I know.
compared to the predecessors, because you could, in the other games, because there's more flexibility, you could say like, well, I know Julie really wants that, so I don't want to add it into the passive pool. I'm going to take this die because I know she needs it to get more points. In this game, because there's less choice, it's like, yeah, I'm not even thinking about what she's trying to go for. I'm just trying to, in a sense, survive.
Exactly.
So I don't care what dice are left for her. So,
Yeah.
so zero player interaction.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the other ones, you do have a little bit because you could, if you have a little bit more choice on what you might want to take to not help the other players.
Yeah.
So that is a lot of negatives. So let's take a look.
What we rated at the BGG
Or
rating.
using the BGG rating,
Wow.
Julie said take it or leave it. She's probably never going to play this again.
No.
Unless we want to show somebody, hey, I haven't played Clever Cubed yet. What is it like? We still have it in our collection. And we'll play it with them.
Yes. If I
Now,
had
for me-
to, I would do it.
I'll play in the mood only because I would keep this for educational purposes. As a teacher, if I would keep this in my collection to play with students.
Or future grandchildren when they're older.
If they really wanted to play all three in the series, but the first two are better.
True.
So it's basically skip, unless you're a big fan, don't bother. If you'll probably be more satisfied with the first two, or
Yeah.
play someone else's copy. Watch our playthrough and how to play. You're going to see if it's for you. So if you're a completist, well, again, we're going to keep it for now.
Yes.
But if we ever had to get down our collection,
This would be one that would go. I'm sorry.
this would probably if we had to get because we have almost 3,000 games, and if we had to get down to 1,000, probably would not keep this,
No.
even with its small size. But then again, you could take the score sheets and the dice, put them in one box. So I guess maybe
You could.
I guess we could keep it then,
We could.
because you have to keep one box anyway.
True.
Yeah. Again, this is if we moved into a smaller place and we had to compress our collection.
We'll be
But
able to-
what does this say? Play someone else's copy first if you're not too sure if you want this.
yeah,
And I think you're going to like the other two better.
I know I do. The other two, yes, my brain will hurt afterwards, but not to the capacity that it's, yeah.
And if you were running what Julie's talking about, when you're doing the teal section, you got to match dice if you want to make it more effective. So in other words, if you roll a 4 and you already have a 4 here, you can mark off 2 4s, or it can even be a 4 in this position. You could even get 3 4s if you do that. So that makes it more challenging. And then when you're using the yellow, you can only mark off the yellow in the first row on the first turn, second row on the second roll. So that, and then you got to think you're looking above and below. It's like, well, if I do this or that, I can get that bonus. So again, that just, you're always thinking like, okay, I'm not going to do that because I can't get that. And then here you got to go sequential. And so it's really hard to get what you need on the blue and the
it's
on the
so
purple and the
hard.
white.
Oh my god.
And then here you got to go sequential here. You can skip numbers, but then you're basically saying, I didn't get the brown, so why screw it?
Yep.
And then here on the pink, you can get either what you roll on the pink and get the modifier, so times 2, or you take half of it. So if I rolled a 6, I can take half a 6 and take a 3 and get the bonus, or I can do 6 times 1. So you're always like checking things multiple times when you roll, and it's just not as fun.
And I think it also makes the game slower because you do
Yeah,
have
that's
so
true.
many things to think about and determine what's best for you. And again, David's right. I did not look once at what he was doing or what would benefit him. All I could do is concentrate on what is going to help me do the best. And it's that, what's that word you always say?
Analysis paralysis.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
So much of that. And you'll see that in the playthrough, especially with him, because he thinks more of a higher level than I do. I'm just like, let me just see what I can get and get done and be done with this, where he is more strategic on, he knows how to get the best, more points
at one
quickly.
point, I was like, I'm not going to think about it too much because it makes it that more fun to think about it that much more. Now, somebody might like the fact that it's more mathematical, more precise. In my opinion, it's not more precise in a good way. It's more like, wow, I really, like I said, the game plays you. I guess I better take this because it's the best option. And I don't have as much flexibility.
Right.
So I guess I'm going with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
It's like, in a sense, it's like Candyland. You draw the color and you move to the color.
yeah.
It's almost to that level where I rolled that. I guess I got to take that.
I got to the point last night when we played, and granted, we were both tired by the time we were really playing it. I got to the point where I was kind of like, you know what? I really don't care what I roll. I'm just going to take what I get. And if it's not good, I don't care. I just want this to be done and over with.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I was feeling towards the end of this game, too. It's kind of like, I just want this to be done.
Yeah, but for the how to play and play through, we went over the different options. But you often will see that there's not much choice. It's like, well, you can't do that one. You can't do that one.
No.
So I guess you're doing this one.
Yeah.
And then even with the bonus stuff, it's like, well, I have some bonus stuff, but I can't really use it
Right.
with this roll I got.
Yeah.
So-
No, you're right. You're right.
It's just layers of like no's, and it's oftentimes
Yeah.
and less choice. All right, so
Hopefully
you don't.
that helps you guys, at least guide you one way or
Right.
another on what you might want to
And
do.
as an educator, I would have it in the collection, and I bet you if I did play all 3 with my students, they would be like, "Yeah, that was neat to play, but we like the other ones better."
But I do agree with what David said. If you have a chance to play someone else's copy first before you think about buying it, or before you go out and buy it, play it first and see how comfortable you are with it. And if you really love it, then have
Well, again,
fun.
this can be played solo, so maybe people who like to play solo
yeah.
would like more of the challenge. But again, you might want to play someone else's copy first.
I would do it.
All right, so thanks for watching, and please
Thanks,
check
you
out
guys.
our How to Play and Playthrough.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
All right, please subscribe and
Oh,
like.
yeah.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.